Oh, this is my dear friend, Rafal Zelinsky, a mentor to me, even though he's younger than me, because he's made 25 features, and I just cover features. I've made one short and a bunch of other crazy projects. So, that being the case, thank you, thank you. I'm the guy who asks all the silly questions, stupid and annoying, um, uh, unprecedented questions, just to keep things moving. So people feel that once they're on a flow, it's rude. No, we don't do that. But we're not like David, whatever is facing, harm people or anything. It's just let's move on. Why I get ADHD so I can understand, you know how time is of great value. So we're honored here because, and now that we have a few minutes on the interview, I can tell you that the previous piece we just did with Michael Caporal and my partner Robin, who's won 6 Emmys, he's ENG, he's got all the equipment. We could shoot a movie for you, the two of us. We have everything. Um, but well, we're actually putting a package together to sell in the New York market, and we'll sell it anywhere. Well, he's got everything. But then we talked to Michael Caporal, and he's even way beyond that. He was the guy who represented the Varicam, the first HD camera for Panasonic. He, yeah, yeah.
And we studied film, at Rhode Island School of Design. He just loves all this retro,
That's a great place, Rhode Island
it's like
School.
VHS stuff. That's like they call him. So
I still have 4 or 5 VHS decks. Yeah, and I have some amazing stuff on SVHS. One day I actually shot, or remember in Broadway when they were closing it down before they gentrified and they had signs, about God is not coming, or there's no such thing as the devil. It's just God when he's drunk. Things like that. And they were on all of them. I got up one morning at 7 in the morning. I was just selling advertising on Madison Avenue. I had nothing in the business, just my camcorder. I shot weddings. So I said, I'm going to get that. Someone's going to record that for history. All 30 marquees. I got every one of them. They're sitting somewhere on the SVH. Probably worth $3 million or something. But
like our vinyl, I had the mistake of throwing out all my parents' vinyls. There was such a
oh
thing
no,
like
no, no.
10 years ago. They garage of all these classic
It's funny because I sell rare books. I never got. I have a lot of records, but I don't have the super rare. Maybe 50 of them. But um, so beyond that, beyond doing, I was just secondary. He started out as studying art, photography. Um, he had agencies. He's written multiple books. He hasn't made too many features, only two, and they weren't successful like yours. But everything else, I mean, credible tech guy, credible nice person, brilliant, paints art. But he's been working on AI for 2 straight years with all his technology and his art abilities. He's a modern Zen master of AI. He's got 17 AI scripts that he's going to make. That he's been building everything. He's built sets. He's like he was major, and we had no idea because we knew him, and we knew him from that he always knew about cameras, and he was a bright guy, and he had a few books, couple books, and he had a movie that didn't get distributed properly. But I love the guy. But then we got so deep. But you should meet him. Somehow we should get you on a Zoom together because he's really gone deep into for filmmaking.
years. I come from MIT where I studied art and design, but technology was always of great interest to me. And when this AI revolution started 3 years ago, I just dug right deep in because I see it as a way for independent filmmakers to start making the incredible movies that they've been dreaming of making for years and never had a chance to make. So now, I feel like I found myself walking through a graveyard of 50 movies that I never got to make that were just dying. And they all
They're on a
are
pen.
coming back
Right,
to
it's on
life.
the
So it's
your
exciting.
notes here, notes there. Yeah. Well, why not?
I think the human actors and the human touch is absolutely critical. I always see and always saw as AI just as a tool. You know, it's a tool, but it has to come from writing that's human writing and
That's
human.
very important. I think though, I find it weird. I don't think we should create other characters on a general everything basis. I mean, if there's a special animated project or something that only those kind of characters would be represented, fine. But not to like let's duplicate. You know, it's like a reggae song I hear a lot from the '70s. Goes everything I say, monkey say. Everything I do, monkey do. And it goes on, and it's very, fuck that.
Yeah. So anyway, so to me it's a wonderful opportunity to make all these dream movies. I
But
mean,
you're a science fiction guy too. You have some real science fiction like cred.
yeah, yeah. So actually, several of the films that I've resurrected are science fiction films, and one of them is actually a new project that we just developed. We were just disappointed. We, meaning myself and a particular writing partner that I put
Right.
together on this film. It's called Alma, and
Say
I
it
went to
again.
see a lot of Alma. Alma.
Alma.
That's the title of the
ALMA.
film.
Like a woman's name, Alma. With
All the
brown
AI
hair and
wonderful.
glasses. She's a librarian.
Alma has a lot of spiritual, but anyway, um, so we created a film that's about consciousness. We wanted to show what AI can do in terms of telling a story that's specific to what the AI world is, and in a way that's intelligent, spiritual, mystical, emotional, of course, metaphysical. So we created this movie called Alma, which is about two parents. This is set like maybe 25 years in the future, who their daughter died at the age of 18. Just as she was going to college, and they are grieving. They're devastated. So the husband creates a device where they can bring her back to life through simulations. And of course, this is transformative, especially for the wife, who completely starts reliving the whole parenting of his daughter. She completely gets lost in this illusion.
You need to have a
But then
walk on from Del Toro. That's what you. Yeah, that would be real cool.
then as the reality starts cracking, we realize that they are the simulation and the girl is the real. And this is 100 years going forward, where she's been organically produced. She's a human being, but she had never had parents. So they are creating this fake childhood.
Did you see lately, Rafal, about Blade Runner? Remember Harrison Ford? It's now come out supposedly clearly that he was a replicant instead of.
We realize that she's actually an organic girl who is given this fake childhood to keep her placated, so she's a good worker in the 1984 type of repressed society. But then the society destroys itself, and her consciousness is stored, remained, because they keep records of all the consciousness. And when humanity disappears, this AI world, which is all run by androids and robotics, have the memories of humanity, and she's a memory.
That's
Has an
deep.
organic.
That's deep.
It contains the memory of her as an organic who had a fake memory of having a childhood. And then the film.
Who's on third? Who's on third?
So anyway,
who's fake memory? Yeah.
I would say
it sounds cool. That's very cool. But you also have a very spiritual background going back to when you were young in terms of far,
lived all over the world. My father was working for the Ford Foundation, and we were, when I was a child, I lived all over the Middle East and traveled all over the Middle East, and then we lived in India and Nepal. And, one of my dream projects on this slate is an adaptation of the Tibetan Book of the Dead as an hybrid AI movie with actors, because that's a journey that we take after we die, before we're reborn.
I think that's interesting. You know who I think you should look at for inspiration there? Pasolini.
Salini, yes,
Pasolini,
Robert
because he
States.
used his mother to be Mary when he made this piece about the whole holy whatever the grail was they was dealing with, and
Yeah,
even though he did not
was it?
believe in religion, even though he did not believe in organized religion, the Pope said it was the most authentic piece ever done in that attempt to visualize that.
Yeah, he was an iconoclast, and I love iconoclasts. You
Yeah,
know,
like but the spiritual stuff too. You know, we were
yeah,
taking the book of the dead. You don't want to be dead before you finish the book.
all my life. I read this book when I was a teenager,
Oh,
and when I was at MIT, I got William Burroughs. Can you imagine?
wow.
William Burroughs was writing my screenplay. I convinced him, and then I
How
got
much did he
Philip
get out of
Glass to
you?
start
How
with music.
how much do you
Oh,
have to give him?
crazy!
Tell me how much. Are you kidding?
That was cute. I think that's what it was.
Did you
Yeah,
bring him at least a bottle of something nice?
yeah. I mean, I
Was
met
this
him
in New York?
in New York in his tiny little
Wow,
apartment.
that's a good
Oh,
story.
in Hobo apartment. All there was a typewriter and typewriter
No
on
shit.
this desk
That's
with like
interesting.
a mattress. He said, "Yes, Mr. Rafal Zelinsky, yes, that is a very interesting idea. The idea of Tibetan Book of the Dead. Yes, and it is something that deeply interests me, and I'd like to pursue it with you. I think we should go ahead and do this. It's an important film to be made. When do we start?" I said, "No, now let's start writing it." Anyway, so that was interesting, but I was like,
What did you do
at
with
that time,
what he did write before he stopped? Did he take it back and burn it?
technology was so like, primitive at that time, that, it just sort of fell apart, the project. And then I resurrected it as a Hollywood movie, like a Hollywood type of movie, and it fell to Walt Disney. So then I dropped that, and then I started getting involved in VR and AR and sort of, virtual reality. And I came up with a concept which I think is very hip. It involves young people working in the tech world and how the tech world invades their deaf world once they die.
Well, I've been
So
reading science fiction for the first time in a while, last few months, and I've been reading more hard science fiction because it seems like they're going only 30, 40, 50 years at the most into the future, because then you can see the systems that are here and how they might interact and try, and therefore then you can put a very dramatic situation. Because the one guy
yeah,
is the guy who wrote Snow Crash. We talked about that. Snow Crash, right?
eternal, and it's about
That
three people whose lives are intertwined. One is truly dead, one is having a near-death experience, and one has been drugged, like, roofied.
well, for routine, yeah,
So,
comic relief, I could play the part of the funeral director, or hey, can I get that part?
yeah,
Or the
that's
grave digger. Give me the grave digger part.
I think it would be great, actually. Okay, you're cast.
All
And
right, thanks.
imagine it for the domes already. Like, I would like to make a version for the domes that will be projected all around the audience before it has conventional
Dubs?
release. Dome, in a 360 dome.
Oh,
And
okay.
it surrounds you. Like, it can play in plastic temporary domes on rooftops in planetariums. But of course, then on IMAX, and my dream would be to have it at the Las Vegas Sphere.
Oh, yeah, that's been very
As a,
successful. Very
yeah,
successful.
yeah. So that's sort of my
Well,
dream venue
one of my
for the
heroes is
film.
Buckminster Fuller. Remember him?
Yes,
He did the geodesic dome.
yeah, that's 67.
Yeah.
So
What is
last
the
chunk of
geodesic dome? Does it have validity now in the term of architecture and space use?
so I think
Really?
it's timeless. It's timeless, I mean, architecture dates, but this is a timeless piece that will never date because it's a one of a kind. So anyway,
So
that's
that's
the movie
important
called
to you when you make a film is the architecture. Am I correct that you feel it?
It's true, yeah. And I have sequences that are sort of like in a dome, like where the entire life flashes by in many lifetimes and visions and all of that. So that's a dream project.
All right, so that's two, right? You had two.
Science fiction movie set in outer space, which is a remake of, I would say, Romeo and Juliet meets Adam and Eve meets the African Queen, Humphrey and Bogart. And it's at a time in the future when males and females have split, like women have had it, because men cause war, and
But yeah,
once they destroy what's left of planet, they expel.
have you heard the term? Have you heard the term? I just learned it like 2 months ago. Heteropessimism.
Heteropessimism.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a trend now.
It's interesting. I should actually put that as a little
Yeah,
in this
crazy.
But it's a romantic comedy. It's a very beautiful love story about a guy who meets a real girl for the first time. And man, does she take him on a roller coaster? They just hate each other, but they fall in love. While what's left of humanity tries to destroy itself, like in Romeo and Juliet. There's like the two families. There's the male world and the female world.
Yeah,
they're the only survivors.
if you catch her alone in the airlock, you never know what might happen. They're very tight space though on the spaceships.
Yes, as
Do you have a name for that one?
Yes, called Aliens.
Aliens?
The guy thinks she's an alien, and she thinks he's an alien.
Can I give you a name I used once for a cartoon that I didn't get to sell the deal, but I was and it's different. It's alienoids. You can use my term, alienoids. Because then they can be neurotic a little bit because they're alienoids.
Was a remake of Alien. Yeah, I was troubled by aliens. I was trying to make it lowercase, like, but alienoids, interesting. Yeah.
Let's take a quick read. Yeah, good. I had some cartoons I wrote.
So I have a company called Film Art Planet AI, and it's currently trying to raise $5 million on the Regulation CF funding, where investors can purchase shares for $100. It's on a platform.
What are the restrictions on that?
WeFunder.
What?
Well, the restrictions is that I had to get an audited statement.
Right. But on investing.
They had to look at my contract to make sure the investors are protected, and I had to put the risk factors. It's like a traditional public offering, but you are allowed to.
Right, but they're buying shares. Am I correct?
Yeah. Yes, Obama started this. It's like for the for startups.
Well, they've been trying for a long time. He just let it get through. Yeah. Yeah, but they just remember it was the syndicate rules, right? How many? 36 people in your syndicate, and people who invested had to be of such wealth that if they lost every penny, that wouldn't affect their what do you call it? Their life? Yes. This is cool. It gives a little action. We have some action here. I'm talking, so I'll smoke here. I was showing people when you see how when you're smoking and what you can do in space, what a cigarette looks like. So, well, so I'm going to finish this part here. So we have Alma, right? And then we have alienoids, hopefully. And the third one was called what? Was it Bardo? I thought you had another one. Was it Bardo? Oh, who's Bardo? Because of the turn. It's kind of strange that this week Bridget Bardot died at 91.
And when I spoke to him, and he said, I actually read the book of the dead in Stones. I was like, oh my God, no. He used the title Bardo in the last sentence, and in different titles. And
Yeah, it's good you got there first, because before the Scientologists try to buy it. They still have that powder blue mansion in Hollywood.
Yes, it's still there. So
It's crazy.
two other low budgets also hybrid.
Oh, is this all part of the package of the 5 million?
Yeah,
You think you could make all five of these films for 5 million? 24.
just learned. I just did a 10 minute AI movie. I was rushing to do it because I only had like 1 week to do it. But I was shocked how fast I could make the movie and how it cost almost nothing. I mean, I did it all myself, and it came out pretty well. I mean, like, some people are saying it could get nominated for an Academy Award.
There's
So it's like,
probably now like a whole bunch of them percolating through the world. It'd be interesting if there was a big conference of all the serious AI filmmakers and they brought in all their stuff and they made a really great, television series of 15 hours or
yeah,
something. That would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? That would be in the spirit of the old days of like going out in the desert and all that. Did you ever go to that?
no, I
You
didn't.
said the wife. The wife didn't want to go. She didn't like the sand. Yeah.
I mean, there's like all over the world. But yeah, so anyway, so there's a whole slate of these projects. We can raise five
I
million.
mean, interesting. You want to present this in a way that it gets out to people and it's not like an abstruse or one of the other 400 crazy ideas that people put out there and you can't tell which is who and the difference. But seriously, like you should be on like tables at like Slam Dance, for instance. That's
Yeah,
what I think you should do. How about we get you a table at Slam Dance this year? They're in LA and January.
find it
I'm an
small.
alumnus.
There's a lot of AI studios and companies that would have been announced, and they got tremendous amount of money from venture capital. I don't know, like even Google and all these, giving them millions to make terrible things. I mean, they've announced a bunch of projects, and they all seem to be really mediocre stuff. It's not very well developed. And I just don't know how to access these venture capital
But
groups.
I have to
And I
say
think
that
there's
you
no,
are at the point in your career where you're about to make a whole bunch of films to help independent films sprout and reach out in the world. But you're going to make three masterpieces, and so we're not talking about them at this thing because you have to take them to the next. But you will next time, right?
because
How much?
some
From who? Yeah, he has no sense of art. He just likes design. Well, yeah.
the ideal idea would be to make 24 films but on slightly bigger scale, so I can actually have some famous actors and
Hmm.
to have money for advertising and marketing, so I don't need to rely on
Sounds interesting
distributors.
to me.
And to buy two or three cinemas. I mean, I would have to own a cinema in LA, in New York, maybe one in London. So I
Right.
got into the Hollywood
Do
distribution
you
business.
think that three cinemas would be the number to bring you back enough money?
Since my work for LA, you're going to be press release, you're going to be party, invite all the critics, get them to start writing about it.
Yeah.
And you can do a limited release, pay the movie for a week or two. But the main thing is that it gets the buzz going. And you don't have to rely on the Hollywood distributors, which is like a real close
You
system.
can't rely on Hollywood distributors. Nobody can rely, even they can't rely on Hollywood distributors.
Well, it's honesty.
I don't have, yeah, don't go there. Well, that's why you should be on the blockchain. That's an important thing. I think they have making some progress in terms of payments.
Someone who loves finance
Yeah,
and just wants to like get in there and make this one happen.
yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, so
But definitely blockchain in terms of deals where people screw people over, the blockchain will get rid of that, at least 90% of it.
Yeah. Essentially. Um,
I know, and you're making 24 films on top of another 20. I confess to you, that's one of the impetuses for me to have started Indie Theater Reporter to be a regular monthly publication like the old days, because it just kept getting bigger and bigger, and the bigger it got, the more saturated the market, and the less likely anybody was going to make any money. And I kept looking at it one after the other. Nice films, beautiful films, decent films, every one of them. 1 week in theater. They're dead. They're all dead, and they're making more. So I said, let's go to the theater, where that's where the actors are, and I'm in the center of it. And I can actually do an old style tabloid, like local tabloids, and I know how to do print. I love taking papers around with stories in them. Although now we're all doing video on the indie film stuff. But I believe that you're one of the 10 or 15 bright, you know, intellectuals who still are, strong and in the game as far as filmmakers. And you're just slightly under the radar of those guys who pick the film as they can, but they're all a bunch of pretentious assholes sometimes. Not assholes, but pretentious whatevers, you know? But everything's really in flux. So if you can get to the top of it, the more you have, the better. Although I just saw a documentary on Trojan Records that made all the reggae, and they got so big, and then they had to support all the people that size. The next thing you know, that went back down. That's what this other guy did. He had this huge agency, and then they had the writers' strike, and he had a $66,000 a month nut for 10 months. And that's sad. But you know what? That's the one thing about the writers. Are you in the Writers Guild? You could be. Yeah, I mean, but 87, they were putting up a fight. Nobody did. And the two strikes afterwards that really have at least confirmed that we're not going to go out easy on intellectual property, especially that we now maybe the people doing the scripts with AI won't care as much about it, and they'll let them steal it from it because it was just AI. Is that a good rap? I can see James Woods doing that one.
Yeah. I think AI is an interesting writing tool. I think it all has to come from the human mind, your stories, your scripts. But AI can be used as like a writing assistant. Like it's good at if you need an action scene, very much
Listen,
style of
let's do
this.
this. I want you to go down and start planting the seeds because there's another festival in LA that's a new one, about 2 or 3 years that Peter from Slam Dance, Baxter, is really running too. And you have double chance of promotion with the idea that you're talking about. A lot of the people don't know that this stuff is actually doable right now. And you should get the right materials, have a fantastic party, and we need, and get a nice tequila sponsor, and everything will just be there. We'll make 4 or 5 deals in the same night. All right, at Slam Dance and the festival afterwards. It's in a few weeks. I'll talk to you. So, what else do you want to say to your prospective co-filmmakers in the empire of your work?
Okay.
Do you have a final statement? You want anything you want to say? Anything else you want to pitch?
Well,
Oh.
have a lot of babies running around, a lot of children, you have to let them all equally, and whichever one gets funded. But with AI, you can start picking which your favorite, which one is the most
Right. Well, now that's what I want to say, being AI. They're afraid they're going to be replaced, right, really early in their lives. That's interesting. I didn't realize it was that much. But you know what I'm thinking there? Um, uh, this is a time where you have five, is it six feature films that are running. Wait, stop. You have six feature films that are in the can that you've been ripped off by the distributors, but you still get something from them, and they're still available on all these platforms. I think you should promote the stuff that's still on the platform. Tell us the names of your six films and where they are, and then we're going to close this out.
Six are my favorites that are personally
And the names are.
on iTunes and Amazon and Google.
All these films, all six films are on. Yes.
Ginger and it's fun. There was also in Sundance competition one day, special jury award. It's the age of Charlie, which is disturbing.
That that was a sexy movie.
And there is 1001 Nights in
That
Bohemia.
was pretty sexy too. Romantic too. Yeah, it was fantastic. And they're all available on the streaming platforms because you did your due diligence and made sure they were out there.
That's right.
Now the AI representation can pitch them.
Down from obscure old somewhere way
Yeah,
all over the world. You know, get negatives and actually restore them and retransfer them into digital, recolorize, create new sound mixes, all of them. It's a whole wonderful process of restoring one's movies. And I'm so happy because so many movies are lost. I mean, you might find bizarre VHS copies or some DVD copies here and there, but I mean, a lot of movies have been lost forever.
so I never introduced you or never got a chance to meet Dan uh, um, uh, uh, over at Slam Dance, Dan Mervish.
Here, I'll tell you what's
He's made like six features just like you. It's very interesting. You,
bunch of Coleman, like movies like Screwballs and Loose Screws and Recruits. And those apparently are classics. Like the kids love them.
yeah, they did.
So,
They
so
love
like
that retro.
he said, that's your best movie. And I was so embarrassed. Quentin Tarantino is like, he loves my old movies. I'm so embarrassed. But yeah, apparently those are the ones that are, getting like, they're like hip.
And I pitch a crazy movie that came to me for the last 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have this fetish about my birth date. I think I might have told you that I was born on the day that Beethoven was born, and Margaret Mead, and Philip K. Dick, and Arthur C. Clarke, and Mel Coward, and George Santayana, December 16th. And so I've studied today. Who else? It turns out that also born on the day were all these current actors, two girls that are really up and coming. Ben Cross, who was in Chariots of Fire, another big guy from it. The guy who was the general on Doctor Who, okay, this famous black comedian in New York. And uh, I said, let me get all the people who were born on this day around and we'll make a movie with just us. Because I also went into the history of it. Like, for instance, in 1707 was the last time that Mount Fiji erupted on December 16th. So obviously that's got to be a scene in the film. But then I was the Boston Tea Party. There are three countries that declared their independence and had revolutions on that day. Bangladesh, Catholic. The Battle of the Bulge happened. Um, what's his name? It'd be like the December 16th tours. And guess what? So I looked further for more people that are. It turns out we just had a Nobel Prize winner in astrophysics. And, what's his name? the cinematographer that worked for 10 years with Clint Eastwood, who's a real pro. He's born on December the 16th. And then Dan Mervish, who at Slam Dance, who's written a book on it, is a 16ther. So I get a director, a cinematographer, a cast, all kinds of amazing events. I think there's only like 10 days, people's days in the year that come out that out of odds. That much stuff would happen on that day. I mean, and it's all violent. I mean, with volcanoes. I mean, two 8.5 volcanoes. Um, but important things happen. So I think that we could create a film around the characters and the things of that day. And it'd be kind of just wild because of all these synergies. What do you think? Got some,
How the interconnectivity is all about everything being interconnected. You know, because the universe is all numbers and energies, and I mean, I really believe that we know so much about the universe and so little.
a lot of
There's so
holidays
much
are
to know.
celebrated on that day. Big Spanish holiday. And, and
Now we're so aware of the vastness of the universe. I think all religions is huge reboot because all religions were created when man was living
yeah,
and
sure. But do you know what happened also for the Christian religion from that date? This is something I had no idea. On December the 16th was the beginning of the 9-day walk for um, uh, um, for Joseph and Mary. They wanted to have the baby, okay? And nobody would let them have the baby there. It took them 9 days to get our tribe, who had gotten, I guess, a little bourgeois at that point, to let Joseph and Mary stay and have their baby. It took 9 days. And that's why it was the 25th, because on the 16th they started the walk. That's a celebrate. How weird is that?
for like all kinds of
Yeah,
purposes.
yeah, I think you could do the Book of the Dead with AI. I think you would be the right person to do it. You should definitely do that.
One, if AI was programmed in the Netherlands and would just completely take over as idiotically human beings who have such limited, we're such awful greedy animals. Eliminate territorialism. The craft belongs to all of us. It's a treasure.
Yeah, I've been reading some deep articles on this. Yeah.
And AI can just think us, think over, think, oh, well, distributed where, we all equally own this planet. I mean, honestly,
Maybe it would be a Bangladeshi AI. The people from Bangladesh could do it. What do you think? An overlord. Ah, yeah.
planet, I think the animals are even more sophisticated and intelligent than us.
I think we need more Jack Nicholsons and Bridget Bardots, though, and I